everyone. I'm sorry. I had trouble. I had the technical issues. So I had to start again on a different streaming platform. And I'm just going to re-invite Bruce. Let me close a couple of windows. I'm sucking on a lozenge. I know it's rude to have a big lump in my cheek, but my throat gets dry really fast. So, okay. I'm going to invite. Oh, why isn't it pasting? Copy. Paste. Okay. There you go. Let's see if that works. Okay, while we wait for Bruce to join us, there he is backstage. And I see him as Roos Lively. Hello, Roos. So what I'm going to do is, before I introduce Bruce to you guys, I'm going to show you the newest video on Political Drain that he just uploaded just before this started. So let's get that going. Make sure everything's running here. All right.
Good and decent people of YouTube, welcome to Political Drain. My name is Bruce Lively. And no, you're not crazy. Last Wednesday, December 7th, News Nation held the fourth Republican primary presidential debate, or the televised audition for vice president. I mean, especially since the candidate leading in every poll, Orange Ebenezer, wasn't there. You know, on account of it being the holidays and all. And it was as uninteresting, unserious, delusional, and self-congratulatory as you would expect. Items of interest, Ramaswamy, believe it or not, he told the truth, actual truth, about our politicians being bought and paid for by rich donors and special interests, including Nikki Haley.
I want to go back, though, to Nikki Haley's comment from earlier that she is somehow not responding to the will of these donors. Nikki, you were bankrupt when you left the UN. After you left the UN, you became a military contractor. You actually started joining service on the board of Boeing, whose back you scratched for a very long time, and then gave foreign multinational speeches like Hillary Clinton is, and now you're a multimillionaire. That math does not add up. It adds up to the fact that you are corrupt. And when I said they were bought and paid for, I meant the Republican establishment, not the Democratic establishment. Now you have Reid Hoffman, the person who's effectively George Soros Jr., funding lawsuits across this country against Donald Trump to keep him off the ballot, funding left-wing causes. We discovered this week that he is one of Nikki Haley's largest supporters. Larry Fink, the king of the woke industrial complex, the ESG movement, the CEO of BlackRock, the most powerful company in the world, now supporting Nikki Haley. And to say that doesn't affect her is false.
So, in an unexpected moment of honesty, Ramaswamy calls out the corruptions of rich donors and special interests. Unfortunately, he never mentions that he himself gets major donations in the forms of business investments, speeches, and seminars, and other underhanded, unaccountable methods from right-wing mega donors like Peter Thiel and Leonard Leo, from the Federalist Society. So, rich donors then? Check. Right. He also has made donations to his own campaign. That's good. Unfortunately, all his money comes from an investment company he started that makes billions solely from the pharmaceutical industry. So, one of the largest special interests in America then. Check. Gotcha, Ramaswamy. Let's see, what else happened? DeSantis, he still looks like someone drew a fake smile on one of Leatherface's favorite human skin masks.
I don't know how he would score on a test.
Come on to the
Generation. You're 44 years old. 45.
Yeah. Oh, as always, they had the ceremonial pissing contest about who can take away the most rights from powerless and marginalized people. That's always a favorite.
So, Governor DeSantis, I'd like to start with you. You have pledged to send the military to the southern border on day one of your administration with orders to shoot, quote, stone cold dead anyone illegally entering with a backpack that you believe contains fentanyl. Critics have called this a shoot first, ask questions later policy that would amount to extrajudicial killing. You are a former military lawyer. Why do you think this idea of yours would be legal?
The drug cartels are invading our country and they are killing our citizens. The Al-Qaeda wasn't wearing a uniform. You'd see anyone walking down the street, they all had man dresses on.
Biden just gave temporary protective status to 500,000 Venezuelans. That's 500,000 Social Security cards. That's 500,000 driver's licenses. And I know from my time at the United Nations, the first thing they do is pick up the phone and said, we came over, come on over. And that's what sends more.
But there was one thing. There's one thing that's worth talking about, in my opinion, and that's that Chris Christie defiantly, bravely, as a matter of fact, crushing the ghost of Scrooge McComb simply by telling the truth about what he's done and what he said. Now, this isn't new. This has been like his whole campaign. But what was interesting, people, was as he kept doing it, the audience eventually started to agree with him. A wee bit.
I mean, look, he's made it very clear. There's no mystery to what he wants to do. He started off his campaign by saying, I am your retribution. 8 years ago, he said, I am your voice. This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him, anyone who has tried to hold him to account for his own conduct. And every one of these policies that he's talking about are about pursuing a plan of retribution. And yet, at the first debate, my three colleagues on this stage, when asked if he would be convicted of federal felonies, would they still support him, raised their hand, looked into the camera, and let everybody know that they would still support him, even if convicted of federal felonies. Federal felonies, by the way. Federal felonies, which involve our election process, federal felonies, which involve the most sensitive of our governmental secrets, federal felonies where he instructed others to commit crimes, folks who are now agreeing to go to jail because of what they did in his name. So do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history. And that's why failing to speak out against him, making excuses for him, pretending that somehow he's a victim, empowers him. You want to know why those poll numbers are where they are? Because folks like these three guys on the stage make it seem like his conduct is acceptable. Let me make it clear. His conduct is unacceptable. He's unfit, and be careful of what you're going to get. If you ever got another Donald Trump term, he's letting you know, I am your retribution. He will only be, Elizabeth, he will only be his own retribution. He doesn't care for the American people. It's Donald Trump first. It's Donald Trump first.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis. Thank you. Governor DeSantis. Thank you, Governor.
Is he fit or is he? And this is the problem with my three colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump, then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth. Okay. And answer the question, fit or unfit? Fit or unfit? I want you all to kind of picture in your minds election day. You'll all be heading to the polls to vote. And that's something that Donald Trump will not be able to do because he will be convicted of felonies before then, and his right to vote will be taken away. You know, look, Here's the bottom line. You can boo about it all you like and continue to deny reality. But if we deny reality as a party, we're going to have 4 more years of Joe Biden. When my colleagues here raised their hands and said they would support him, even if he was a convicted felon, the bigger problem with it is they were confirming the lies he's told to the American people. If you're too timid to take on Trump, believe me, others will see that timidity. Xi, Putin, and the Ayatollah, the border crossers on the southern border, and the criminals in our streets. They'll sense that timidity, and they'll take advantage of that failure of leadership. We need to get back to an old American idea that every person is responsible for their own conduct, even a president. I'll be the kind of president who has the humility that knows that you work for the people. It's not the other way around. I will earn your trust. I want to earn your vote.
Thank you.
We've had these 3 acting as if the race is between the 4 of us. The 5th guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet I've got these 3 guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it. The fact is that when you go and you say the truth about somebody who is a dictator, a bully, who has taken shots at everybody, whether they've given him great service or not over time, who dares to disagree with him, then I understand why these 3 are timid to say anything about it. Maybe it's because they have future aspirations. Maybe those future aspirations are now, or maybe they're 4 years from now. But the fact of the matter is the truth needs to be told. And for us to go 17 minutes without discussing the guy who has all those gaudy numbers you talked about is ridiculous. I'm in this race because the truth needs to be spoken. He is unfit. This is a guy who just said this past week that he wants to use the Department of Justice to go after his enemies when he gets in there. I mean, the fact of the matter is he is unfit to be president, and there is no bigger issue in this race, Megyn, than Donald Trump, and those numbers prove it.
Governor Christie.
And those numbers prove it.
Governor Christie, we will be addressing that issue.
So here's the takeaway, people. You, like me, may have thought that people who still back Trump after everything he's done and everything he said are simply unreachable. They think so differently from us and are so thoroughly entangled in the orange web of reality denial that there's nothing you can say or do to ever snap them out of it. Well, Chris Christie, God bless him, showed us that that's not necessarily true. In the face of what seemed like unbreakable idolization, he just kept telling the truth. So I've decided I'm going to do the same right here on this channel. Starting next week, we will be launching a 4-part series all about Project 2025. You may have heard of it. It's the plan set up by the worst players in politics with the purpose of literally ending American democracy as we know it. We're just going to tell the truth without ceasing, no matter whose mind we are or aren't changing anymore. Just tell the truth. We're going to talk about what the plan entails, its roots in fascism, the people behind it, and its inevitable consequences if we allow them to enact it by voting for their preferred dictator. You know who? Chris Christie inspired me. And those are words I never thought I'd say. I'll see you on the next one.
The silent introduction from Laura. Welcome, Bruce. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for that latest video.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having. I missed that introduction. I think the mic was muted, but
It was. I was just saying I've been collaborating with you on Political Drain, and you have the MCs channel and TeamBoxCutta, and we're just thrilled to have you here and collaborate together for democracy. We're a bunch of collaborators.
Thank you so much, Angela B. Especially thank you. You know what you've done. I guess we're all going to get into it, but a very special thank you to you, Laura, because the channel was about to be, I won't say disbanded or forgotten, but I just, as you mentioned, I have so many other channels and other ventures going on. This was the latest one, and it was probably the most time intensive because it's news, and it doesn't ever stop.
No,
So
there's
I was
7 or 8 stories a day at least, you know.
right, and so I was about to end it, and right as I stopped, I guess for like 3 weeks of posting, you came on one of my other channels and said, "Where are you?" I was like, "Hey," as a joke, I literally was like, "Well, if you know anybody who can write or put a team together to help me with it, I'll be happy to do it. But right now, I just can't."
Yeah.
A day later, all I got was emails from you with people who could help. I was like, wow. I told my wife, I almost cried because I felt so not needed. Right. And I was like, wow, if she thinks it's that important, I'm going to keep it going. So
I'm
it's
so
because
glad.
of you.
Well, I'm thrilled to have given you any prompts or whatever to help the channel, because we need everyone, man. And there's a lot of voices out there that are not being heard. And I think you
True.
have a unique take on things for a lot of reasons. And, you know, you've got a big following with your other channels, and now you're focusing more on this one for some of the time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into like doing this and the politics and how that came along? Because I know you told me you had a background in theology, and you're a musician. You're a musician, a drummer,
Exactly.
a teacher, and I don't really remember what else you told me. But go ahead, talk. You talk.
All right. I will. I'll try my best to convey it. So, my interest in politics, my take
Oop, little glitch.
in
Okay.
politics started really young. Can you hear me? Is that cut out? Okay.
Sometimes there's a little bit of a glitch if you do make too many gestures or speak too close to the mic on this platform. But go ahead.
Okay. I'll stay still. So I grew up in a Jamaican household. We moved here when I was like 6 months old from Jamaica, so I have citizenship there. And we were the type of family, like most foreign families, that take politics more seriously than most Americans, because that's what it is. When you get here, you know what it means and what it's worth, because you may not have had it before. And even though Jamaica is a democracy, it's just not the same type. Like in Jamaican politics, there's no such thing as an election year without violence. And they coming here, seeing what it was like, is kind of like it's like walking into Alice in Wonderland. Like, it's impossible for you to realize that even though, America is one of the only places where they campaign for 4 years straight, still they somehow managed to avoid violence and accept decisions on every level without a problem. And so that was kind of why I think, when foreigners come here, it becomes a very big deal to them. And we used to talk politics around the table at a very young age, and used to try our hardest to hear both sides. And then I also studied religion. I went to a religious high school where I took, Bible, and it wasn't just Bible study. The person who taught it like a theology class, right?
Okay.
So I started to really gain politics and religion as important, try to see it as really important and think about it critically, as opposed to listen and be dictated about it. And I think that's kind of where that started.
They seem to be a bit more tied together in the States than in other democracies. The religion
and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but it has its history. I mean, America has a very unique history when it comes to that. America was founded, firstly, for the purpose of religion, believe it or not. I know people don't like to say that, but not its founders. But when the people landed on Plymouth Rock, when we had Quakers, right, or when the Pilgrims and all that stuff, and literally it was about religious freedom. They wanted to be Protestant, and they didn't want to follow the rules of I believe, what was it, King? Was it King James back then? Back then, I think it was, like, who started to rewrite the Bible. So anyway, blah blah blah. They wanted to have their thing going on. Slavery backed by religion. Both parties in their indecency used religion. It just so happens that now the Republican Party, as we know it now, has they found out why in every other country in history at some point, when you fuse religion and politics, you can have a mass of people who no longer think for themselves. You can have a mass of people that will always vote for you, and a mass of people that are willing to give up their own rights in order to go to heaven. Right. And you have to think about the reasoning for that is, if your alternative is going to hell or voting for your rights, which would you choose? Right? So that's why the idea of keeping religion out of politics was so important for so long. And I think it's been destroyed. So understanding both things, politics and religion, I think are as important as each other in American unique political understanding and analysis. Okay, so after that, I was also a drum teacher. I am a drum teacher. I teach music at a music academy, mostly drums, some piano. And being a teacher has also given me a certain insight as well, understanding how to get things across and change ideas in order to have the student dictate the syllabus, understanding what they can learn, what they can't learn, and how they learn best. Those things I think also help me in making that analysis. So that's where I think it's important. Moving around, coming from so many different places, moving from Chicago to Atlanta, learning about politics on the table, as well as taking a few classes in college, learning about religion from scholars on all sides and all faiths has been, instrumental in what I do. Thank goodness I started another channel that happened to have a whole lot of people where I just talk about Karens. And that used to be a hip hop channel, but it changed.
Watching Karen videos. You're the best, BoxCutta.
Thank you. And I think that's what happened is I can't help but
that's tied into politics too.
Put politics and other stuff into everything, and that's what I started to do with Karen.
White rage and all of that.
Understanding white rage, privilege, how it works, why it's there, ended up being a part of my Karen videos. And I think that that just led into me saying, you know what, I'm going to go into politics, period, and see if I have a voice that can relate to people where others wouldn't, and do my part. That's all.
That's right. Yeah, because not everybody has the time or the ability to think critically and watch the news and parse it all out. And like we said at the beginning, so much is flying by the hour, by the half hour, even after Trump left. I mean, it was bad enough then. You had to be constantly looking at Twitter or whatever. What is he doing? After we thought, oh, shoo, it's over. No, it's got worse.
Far from over. That was predictable.
Yeah.
The thing is, what's predictable about it is that Trump was never the problem. When you live in a democracy, the saying is you get the politicians you deserve because you vote for them,
or don't vote.
But either way, you get the politicians you deserve in a democracy. So what happens is trying to get rid of the politician and not changing the voters' minds or giving them a reason to change their minds. Right? Um, that is where you can predict that it's only going to get worse, not better, because Donald Trump will always be the avatar for the angst of money leaving their pockets, power leaving their communities, jobs leaving their pocketbooks, corruption on a grand scale every day, brushed under the rug by every TV station, by every TV news channel. And when you do that, the people don't know why they're angry. Some of them, a lot of them don't know why they're angry, but they know that whoever can channel that anger and get back at and give them some of that sweet retribution, they'll be willing to do anything for it because nothing else works. And so we've set the stage for that.
So why do you think it is that the fear and the negativity seems to work and better than positive messages?
Because we're human.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, because on the Serengeti, laughing and smiling is good for a moment, but being able to be scared of every sound around you keeps you alive.
True.
Right? So we have evolved the type of a brain that sees negative things as the most important thing to focus on, because before we had the agency and the technology we have today, it was. Yeah. And I think we're still living in a remnant of that.
Well, we still have that residual lizard brain thing going on.
Yeah.
Responses that are completely beyond us. They just occur.
They just occur. And that reading the Enough by Cassidy Hutchinson, I so much didn't want to do it, but I was like, you know what?
That's another.
Now that this is my job, I'm going to make the effort to always try to listen to what everybody has to say. And reading what she has to say is such a revelation. Just seeing how she describes what it's like being on that side, being in an administration with Donald Trump, you just would think that, like, to me, I'm like, how the heck did you not see this? And the way she describes it, you realize that she's just a normal person who has been trained by fear to see things. She really honestly believed that it just wasn't that bad. Yeah. Other things are more scary. So this is less scary. And you can completely push aside things that you wouldn't have yesterday in the face of enough training, doctrinization, and fear. And knowing that, I think, is going to inform how I talk, again, more to these people, because it's just human. Okay, and if you think it can't happen to you, you've already failed, right? So you have to constantly be safeguarding against that type of thinking and constantly be looking for ways to contradict yourself, to learn more, to find out where you're wrong. If you're not constantly doing that, you're also susceptible. So knowing that may help.
That makes me think about the TYT problem. A lot of people are falling off of their camp because they have this conviction that they're right about everything, especially Jen and Anna. And Jeff Wiggins and Benny, can't remember her name. They both left because of the issues with Jen and Anna. I was also going to say, also traditionally, Democrats have gone on this positive messaging thing, but now we've got shit to scare people with.
Right.
But they're trying to do with this Agenda 25, which has been cooking forever, right? They've just now solidified it into a document form for everybody to see exactly what they plan. So you want to talk about how we're going to approach that through the Political Drain channel. Angela Berkeley has been torturing herself with reading it all and condensing it into a format that you can draw from.
Oh my God, Angela Brickley, thank you so much. I wasn't going to touch it because of how important I knew it was and how in-depth I needed to get if I was going to touch it.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time. I just did. There's so much more to do. But thanks to you guys, thanks to Angela, I now feel like, yeah, we can touch this, which is why I want to put it in 4 pieces. It may even turn out to be 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's 4 parts that we need to understand about this project. The first thing is exactly what it is. Most people still don't know exactly what it is. And so everybody needs to say that.
It's like the CRT left.
Right, exactly. So, but unlike the CRT of the left, this one is actually real and being implemented as we speak.
Yeah,
right.
Across the entire board, not just a narrow little.
Oh yes. So, let's just talk about how I plan to approach it. Number one, I want to talk about what it is, and I want to give historical, and I want to give historical context and something that you can do about it for every precept that they have. They have 4 precepts. I only know of a few of them, but I know the ones that have to do with hiring and getting the people who are willing to say yes to whatever is already underway. We got to talk about the history of that kind of politics, of that kind of movement, of that kind of brown shirt gathering. That's what that is. Also, the idea of imperial laws or executive laws, under war and all these types of things that they want to put in the very beginning. We also have a history, a fascistic history of that. Right. And so when he says, I'm going to be a dictator only on day 1 and that's it, he actually means it, because all you need is 1 day to get rid of the safeguards that would make you considered a dictator. And when you become legal, you're just a president forever. You're right. When all those things are legal, you're just president.
Yeah, that's another thing. They got to stop saying he's running for president, because he isn't.
Yeah, no, he's running for dictator, for sure.
King, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to approach it with more than just what it is. I want to talk about each precept, and hopefully in 4 shows I can get all of the precepts in, all of their points in, and be able to talk about the history of each one of those, how we stop each one of those, and what happens if we don't stop any one of those precepts.
Well,
right?
I'll tell you 2 things that might happen. Mexico's going to be invaded. And they're already talking about the northern border.
Oh, yeah. Well, no one's safe. No one's safe. So
he's the biggest threat to the world, or the Republican Party is under him with his name on it.
Yep. Like Hitler, when you become the dictator, you immediately, in order to keep that position, in order to keep the war powers, right, in order to keep the recruiting, you have to always keep a boogeyman. So when you send all of your own people you don't like into internment camps, you have no other choice but to start war with someone else, or else your power wanes. So it's only a matter of time. I don't think that, oh, well, the first thing we're going to do is invade this place or that place. I think more of that is just rhetoric.
It's inevitable.
But it's an inevitability. Yeah. And I think that it's always going to start with brown people. It's always going to start with gays and and women. Yep, all of them. So everybody here is going to get it first.
And the Asians, and like I said in my invitation letter, you know, that quote about first they came for the socialists.
Exactly. So here's the sad.
Oz just mentions here, Putin gonna get another 6 years. Yeah.
Yep. And here's okay. Martin Luther King said, "Injustice anywhere, right, is a threat to injustice everywhere. A threat to justice everywhere." Here's what he meant by that. As humans, we are more connected than we know. Our life goes in cycles, our politics also. At the time when this guy does become a dictator and the rights start getting curtailed savagely for everyone who's brown or not like him, there used to be a United Kingdom, an entire European worldview that would not only condemn it, but actually impose something that may matter, somehow sanctions or whatever it is. Unfortunately, the rise of this right-wing fascist idea, once it starts here, there's a big movement all over Europe and all the countries that might have stepped in that are also backing the same idea. And they're not going to help me. They're not going to see it as that important, even if they're not a fascist state yet. The willingness to jump in and be sad about what's going on in another country somewhere else will be and has been desensitized. It has been kind of rubbed out, and people will say, it's not me. Over there in America, well, they deserve that. You know, I've seen where they've been going for a while. And that desensitization is it all just is one big hellish ball that we're seeing happen at the same time. So thank God for Laura, and thank God for Angela's, because we're doing what we can to bring that awareness.
Well, I mean, I just see myself as in an administrative capacity of getting folks to come and join in somehow or another. So that's the next question. Other than being contributing to the writing or jokes or whatever, you're looking for people to be on social media manager. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
All of the socials like X and Twitter and or whatever and TikTok, all of those.
So here's the deal. The ideal is to be on every social media platform. That's of course the ideal and the goal, so you reach as many people as possible. To start with, I started a TikTok account, and it was growing big. Like I said, before I decided to stop it, the TikTok account, I would just take portions of the video that I already had, bring them to a site that's called Opus, where you can just give them your video, and for free they make cuts that look cool and everything like that, and have the words on it. Yeah, it makes so much time.
Time to do all of
Oh my God! Without that, I was dying. So I found that place, and I was just putting up videos. And so when I stopped making political drain videos, I stopped being able to put up TikTok videos. And so they were both growing pretty great. So if I just had someone to do the same thing I was doing with that and just post on TikTok every other day or twice a week, even just something from what I'm putting up on political drain, immediately the word gets out bigger. If we add things like X and
that's why
Instagram and stuff like that, it's even more. So
dropping social media is faster than I've been joining them. That's for sure.
Yep, I have been off of TikTok for like a year. I stopped.
Stop, good, because Dave Oz here, I mentioned earlier when you were having some issues with your stuff. Dave Oz here is the programmer I'm talking about, and he's been screaming at us all the time to get the hell off TikTok. It's spyware.
Ah, yeah.
Every keystroke they collect. So yeah,
yep.
Let's stay off of that. And I don't know about X, but Well, it's hard to say because we do want to reach as many as we can, and there's so many young people on TikTok. It's hard to.
Yeah, so I have to weigh. I have to weigh the good versus the bad. So a media manager that would be using the TikTok, they have to also weigh because say for instance there's a person who is, I forget their name, but their entire job is to basically collect all of the right wing TikTok for this YouTuber that doesn't want to do it herself, right? And so that media manager has to weigh the good of what she's doing with the bad of knowing that, well, you're gonna get the spyware or whatever on your phone. My thing is, I think I still do that it's still better to get the word out to the people that matter, because with every stroke and every site and everybody who leaves a message, wow, I never thought of that, and wow, I can't believe this is so good, I got to sign up, where's a YouTube channel, to me matters more than whatever else is going on in the background, because believe it or not, so does YouTube, so does Facebook, so does both the drum sites, so does all of the things that I enjoy. So does your favorite porn. So does everything that's going on. So at some point you have to either shut yourself off or decide to use their bullshit for a good cause. And that's what I think is the best way to think about that for me. But you're right. You're right. I'm sorry, Dave Oz. You're right about that. And so the person who decides to do that for me, if you do, it's greatly appreciated, and I think you'd have to kind of see it the way I do. And if you don't, I honestly understand. That's why it's so hard to get someone to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I just I know who I know in the political chats, and if we can find somebody that would fit that, well, great.
I hope so. I really do. I think once you start,
everybody, please share the links to wherever you're going on Facebook or wherever. Just please keep sharing our channel links.
Yes, please do.
And,
and for the person who does want to take on putting our stuff out to TikTok, Instagram, or whatever it is, if you do decide that, not only you get my thanks and appreciation, and knowing that you're getting to do something good for the world, you also will be able to utilize. You'll be on my TikTok. Like it'll be, you'll get to log in and go in on my thing, and so it's not like creating your own. So you won't have to be giving up certain information. And if you are, you might already be on TikTok, so it might not matter. But if that matters, just so you know.
Okay, cool. All right. So, like I was telling people who are saying, well, I don't think I'm qualified to be a writer or whatever. That's what I said. Just doesn't matter. Just, if you got something to say it,
That's it.
Yeah. And the spreadsheet, I mean, I haven't looked at it for a few days. It took me a couple of days to figure it out. And then you came on and did that Zoom with me. So I'm happy to share that Zoom link with people where we talk about how you want contributors, sort of the style you like and prefer, and how that sheet works.
Yeah. So anybody who doesn't know, I have a spreadsheet for Political Drain Writers Room. So you can put links on one side and the idea of what a topic is or what it is you think should be talked about. And in that cell, like how a spreadsheet works, the cell next to it is for people who have something to say about it. You might even have a script like, man, I want to say this thing about this. So you may have some really funny jokes about it. You just put it in the cell next to the topic, and there's a cell for topic, and then next to it is a cell for scripts and jokes and stuff like that. So get with Laura. She'll tell you how to do it, and anybody is good. Especially, I want to say this really quick. I saw, hold on, who was it? It may have been James. Hold on. I can't remember. I can't see it now. Oh yes, James M. He said Trump isn't testifying tomorrow because he has ear spurs. Like, if you put that on one of the jokes in a cell, I'm using it. I'm taking that. That's enough for me to start an entire 8-minute video. That alone is enough for me to start an entire 8-minute video with clips that will be used and credited to you. Like, that's what I mean. You may not think you have it, but from what I can see, almost everybody on your chat, first of all, is hilarious. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we mean by writing. For people who want to be dedicated writers, like we're doing this for you and want to be a part of everything, when it gets big enough to make money, yeah, we can also talk about that as well. And Laura, that's you, whether you like it or not. I'm using you and I'm taking you. But right now, nobody's making anything. So anybody who wants to contribute or has something to say, wants to feel a part of it, come on in. We love it.
No more sitting here being keyboard warriors. Well, we still are in a way, but yeah.
We're way more.
I mean, this month is going by fast. It's going to be 2024 in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
We've got to start pushing a better message or throwing their bullshit back at them and getting more people to really pay attention, because a lot of people, even though we've had wonderful Democratic turnouts in the midterms and stuff, way better than expected, there's still a great fear of people tuning out and just saying I'm not even going to bother. I hate Biden. He's just like all the rest. What's he done for me lately? And it's not a matter of voting for the best candidate anymore. It's a matter of voting for your life.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for just a second, if I can.
Sure.
There's a growing sentiment that the Democratic Party would say every single election is voting for your life, right? And so no longer means anything.
Yeah, I know.
I hear you.
Sensitization again.
But I hear you. But here's the deal. Every single one of the Republicans have been saying the same thing too. That's called elections. If we really want to know why it's here, is because the reason why Democrats have always had a positive message, right, is because if they were to talk about corruption, they would be bringing a spotlight to themselves. That's why they couldn't do it. That's why it would be so easy to beat Donald Trump. You can beat all of his surrogates. But the reason why it was hard to beat him the first time, and we barely beat him the second time, even though we had the most votes ever. The other side, he also had the most votes ever for an incumbent, right? Yeah. The reason why that is because we can't. Hey, Kitty.
Fergus, don't put your butt in the camera.
No, he has to. He has to.
He can't help themselves.
The reason why it's so hard to beat a Trump is because every single time you want to talk about the things that matter, anybody else can tell it to you and say, you know what? You yourself are taking money from the war machine. You yourself have been taking money from the pharmaceutical company. You yourself voted against this, voted for that. And so you'll find that the reason why they don't just call it out like it is because it was so hard before to do that and not implicate themselves. And that's what I don't think that people get. It wasn't about saying that every election's for your life, so we're desensitized. No, it was that Democrats ran on this whole idea that they're corrupt and we're not. I mean, if they ran on the idea that they're corrupt and we're not, they would lose. So they had to find everything else, the social issues, all the other stuff that they know that they can point to. But when it comes to the things that matter to the people who voted for Trump, they couldn't give, unless you're AOC, right? Unless you're part of the really progressive Democratic movement, what are you going to say? How are you going to say that Trump didn't give you money 15 years ago to give him rights to build his stupid casinos? Right? And at that point, you found where your I'm a good guy message, I love trans people, I love voting rights, all of that stuff breaks down when you go against someone like Trump, who literally campaigns on, I'm the worst, but at least I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You lost. And so all of the great things we've seen happen in the midterm are only because everyone else is still playing politics.
Right.
Trump is playing TV.
Yeah.
And all of your politics breaks down the minute he says, you guys love me because I'm a piece of shit. Now, you say that. You can't. Right? You can't.
Excuse me.
You can't say it.
People love me because I'm such a bitch.
Yes, that's it. So there's no defense to that. And if you hadn't been so corrupt, you could easily say, well, you can love me because I'm not, but you can't. And so that's the problem we're finding ourselves in. Joe Biden is a million times better than Trump. Anybody is a million times better than Trump. And most of the Republican Party, because every single one of them will enact Project 25 the minute they get there, if it means that they can keep power. Yeah. So anybody on the Democratic side would be better than Trump.
Well,
but it's hard to convince somebody of that.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom did a great interview with Brian Tyler Cohen. Was it today or yesterday? I don't know, but it was really good. And he's really, I think he's really genuinely trying to back Biden.
Oh yeah.
But on the other hand, he wouldn't be a bad candidate. Maybe in the next election. Let's see.
I think he'd be a good candidate this election. I believe it or not, I agree with Cenk.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, what about these third-party efforts? Yeah, go on.
Okay, Cenk is not running for a third party.
Oh, right.
That's the main reason why I agree. I like rabble-rousers. Okay. I like people who are always mad, who always find something wrong. Now, believe it or not, TYT, in my opinion, has gone over the deep end, and what they said about De Niro and all this other stuff, I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you guys? On the other hand, those are the same type of people that always make sure that there's somebody being held to account, even for the minorest thing. I like those people. I don't have to even agree with them to know that their responsibility, their necessity to exist is important. It's necessary. Because without them, it's only a matter of time before the regular, normal, moderate people end up going too far right. Guaranteed. You have to have the Cenks and the Annas and the TYTs always finding a way to be mad at everything. I like them. Now, on the other hand, Cenk is right. We are playing a very dangerous game by letting someone who's unpopular, even though he's unfairly unpopular, even though he's done a lot of good things, it doesn't even matter. Politically speaking, we're playing a dangerous game by not letting someone else or having some sort of a primary. He's right with that. And so I'm not voting for him, and I don't have a problem with him running, because I think that you need those outsider guys to always try to pull us as left as possible, right? And then just to be against. You just need someone who's against whatever you're doing. If you don't have that, you're probably doing something wrong. Okay. On the other hand, we already know the problems that they're having with self-aggrandizing, with cutting off other voices that matter, right, and doing the same things that they're accusing others of doing.
It's like they're sliding a little bit away from their left.
They're sliding, and so that stinks. So here's the deal. I think Gavin Newsom should run. I think there should be a primary. I think that at least 4 other Democratic people could run and could beat Trump handily, better than Biden could. I don't think that that's fair, and I don't think there's a good reason why. Now, you have to be able to see the reality for what it is and not put your emotion into it. I think Biden deserves a second term. I don't think he's too old. I think even if he is too old, then he'll die in office, and that happens. I mean, I don't see the big problem with that, because the person behind him also is going to enact what they think he wanted. So that's a part of it. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a primary. Gavin knows that. So do all the governors who would normally run know that. Only person who doesn't know that is Cenk. So, yeah.
Do you think Cenk really thinks he has a shot, or is he just doing this to do his thing?
It's hard. I keep going back and forth. I think knowing his ego and how large it is, God bless him, he might actually think, and knowing that he has as many people, as many eyes as he does, more than any other Democrat, including Midas Touch. I think they're still bigger than Midas Touch, not for long. So knowing that he has that many eyes, he might actually think he can win, right? But what he's really looking for is a primary. He's running on a Democratic ticket, looking for a primary, and when the primaries are done, he'll be done. He won't. He has to be able to convince these people to hold a primary somehow. And I just don't see that happening. But I think he knows that, but he's trying his hardest. And so I go back and forth. Will he actually believe that he can win, or is he just doing this to get other people to run? I couldn't tell you for sure. I'm leaning for the second one. That I don't think he's that delusional, but I'm not. I'm not throwing it away.
Okay, well, we started a little bit late today, and I'm happy to keep going. But why don't we see if does anybody in the chat have a question or a comment? I see James says he has something to say. Uh-oh.
Yes.
James.
I can't wait to hear what James has to say.
People have to stop evaluating just Biden, right? Even though I think he's done a good job. Look at the complete administration, their policies, and it's not hard to make a choice. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's the message. That's the message. That's the whole message, James, is that even though I may understand that not getting the voting rights through, not getting a coalition to get the voting rights passed, makes Black people very uneasy. We've been here before, and we don't want to do that again. We're already being disenfranchised. On the other hand,
women too.
Women, especially, right? Because you'll probably lose the vote first because there's more women voting against their own than there is Black folks. But anyway.
I know, it's insane. I don't understand.
Listen, I told you what it is. It's fear, right? Yeah. And once your husband says that, hey, you need to be a Christian, once your pastor says you're going to hell or you're going to vote against your interest, you don't have a choice. Anyway, here we go. The point is, when we say that, we only say that, yeah, I understand that he didn't get the voting rights thing passed, and to acknowledge that those people aren't wrong in their thinking. And the very next thing you say is, except for every single Republican wants to make it worse. That's your choice. The one who didn't get it passed to be better, or the ones who will definitely and are actively voting to make it worse today. At that point, you don't have a choice. The administration, the Republican Party, the ones who still are trying to figure out whether or not climate change is a thing or not, is what you're voting for. And so we have to hang that R with a noose of every foolish and ridiculous thing they believe and are fighting for actively, while also admitting and not dismissing whatever foolish reason those people think that Biden didn't do this or didn't do that. If we can acknowledge that, you immediately open them up. Laura, you can be my witness. People like Darla Marr on the TeamBoxCutta channel. How many staunch Republicans have completely changed their mindset? I don't know if they're going to change their vote, but they've changed their mindset, their talk. They've become members and love talking to me simply because I find it very easy to admit my faults, very easy to admit other faults and to see where they're coming from. And once you open them up that way, they see that you're not just against them for no reason. Then you can bring other parts or other reason to the forefront, and they'll be more willing to listen to it. I think that's how you're exactly right, James. You have to tie that R to their name. And it's not just Trump and Biden. It's the Republican, authoritarian, anti-women, racist, anti-science, anti-intellectual party versus the pro-rights, pro-abortion, pro-love, pro-peace, pro-voting party. And once you do that, you have a way better chance of changing hearts and minds.
All right. Hiya, Brandon and Sonia, and who else do we have joining us?
Hey,
here?
Sonia. Hey, Brandon.
There was another new name I saw in there. Anyway, welcome to all you new folks. I hope you'll join us regularly on Sundays for these kinds of chats, and during the weekdays I stream Ari Melber and Joy Reid. Joy Reid, I was streaming her for a good year and a half before she became popular. I mean, I was watching her by myself, streaming by myself. And all of a sudden I got like 400 people and like 25 in chat in the last several months. She's always got the best guests and panels. She's really doing a good job. She speaks her mind and does not hold back.
By the way, I also have
mainstream media channel.
I've also noticed, Laura, that your channel went from like 30 subscribers to 400 something in like 2 weeks. Or am I wrong? Or was I getting some numbers wrong? I don't know what happened, but you just blew up.
There was this one day, and it's funny because it was just like a couple days after I reached out to you and we made our first contact. And then I had like, I usually have.
Benny Loco, what's up?
I had 20 viewers every day, and then all of a sudden one day I had like 800 people watching me. And then, but it hasn't happened since. It was just that one day, 800 viewers. What the hell? And then it went back down, but it's still over 100 viewers per day. So
that's
okay.
Good.
And
so, hey.
I'm not doing this to make a living. I'm retired. I'm just doing this out of pure enjoyment. I love these folks. I want to give them as much streaming news as I can over on Twitch too. And yeah, Sharon is Karen, says Manny Loco here. And these people have all got their own channels. Benny especially has got a good channel going there, and TV2, and you know, we gotta get those folks some recognition too.
If everybody here send me their channel, Laura, I guess you can find out how to do it. If everybody wants to send it to me, or if you could collect them,
I will do that.
I will. I'll put them all in my videos. I'll shout you guys out in the video, and I'll have a video where I can put your links in the comment section so other people can go to it as well.
Awesome. And oh dear, now I've forgotten what I was going to say. Does anybody else have anything they want to say to Bruce, or questions, or
any questions? Hard-hitting questions? I'm here for it.
Hard-hitting questions. I told him I was going to grill him today, but I'm a pushover. I'm already a fan. So, but I know a lot of people were sort of wondering who you are, and we'd love to have you join us in the chat whenever you have time. I know how awfully busy you are, and that's why I'm so thrilled that you came and talked to us today.
Thank you. Yeah. I got my fantasy team is already set up. I'm holding back the urge to check it every 5 minutes. I said whatever will happen will happen. So I'm a big football fan. I know that that's not normal for political people.
I don't know. James and
Um,
TV too. They're all into the Niners, the
but
49ers.
Dave Oz has a drumming question, and yes, I've seen Masked Drummer. He's amazing. Every single thing he does. I have no idea who he is.
I'll have to look for that. And that's another thing. Yeah, I think I mentioned to you, I've got a whole hell of a lot of musician friends here in Canada, world-class blues players. They tour. Sue Foley, the Ice Queen, she's in Austin. She plays with not Jimmy Vaughn, but yeah, Jimmy Vaughn and other people like that. So, that'd be for the MCs channel we could talk about sometime.
Sure, of course. So, I would love to have you on the MC's channel, actually.
Well, me, but
but I said I wouldn't know what to name it. But it is a musical channel. It is a music channel. So anything you got for that, I'm down.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bruce. You're a wonderful guy. I mean, right from the beginning, I knew you got a big heart and you got a lot of good things to say and an important voice. And I'm just happy to do anything to help support the channel and promote it and work with you on it and everything else. And I hope other people will join us in that effort.
I really do. I thank you so much. And what you've already done, what Angela has done, what you have done, Laura, already, like I said, has started this thing back up the little bit. I know it may not seem like a lot. Thank you too, James. It may not seem like a lot to you, or it may seem like a bunch. And for that, I apologize. But whatever it is, I want you guys to know that you've already done so much. And I'm now doing this with a fervor that I haven't had before because of you. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Anyone who wants to join in on that writer's room or take it a little more seriously and maybe become an actual script writer or joke writer, officially, please let me know. Let Laura know she has it all. And anyone who wants to help me with, that's really what we need now, is someone to push this on the socials, to get the word out, to grow the channel a little bit more, and to get the message in people's faces, no matter who they are.
And let them know that they can all play a part in this. So yes. Well, thank you again, and I'm going to end this now. And all of you wonderful people out there, thank you so much for joining us and meeting Bruce. And you can watch this video later, and I have that Zoom link for the spreadsheet and all kinds of other stuff. You can just, how to get hold of me. I'm not hiding anywhere.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
thank you so much for having me.
Have a great evening. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye. All right, folks. Well, that was a lot of fun. That went well, I think, except for at the beginning with the technical glitches. But okay, I'm going to head off to see the Midas Weekend show, and you guys have football to catch up on. Oh, thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much. I'm going to head over and subscribe to you too, and anybody else's links that I've missed. That's it. I love you all. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow on GTV and elsewhere. Bye.